There is a strange, profound silence that hangs over the Oxfordshire countryside. Here, sprawling across the landscape, lies a ghost of the 20th century. This is RAF Upper Heyford. For decades it was one of the most important and secret military installations in Britain. Today, its vast runways and empty buildings stand as a chilling memorial to a conflict that was never fought, but which shaped our world. Walking through its deserted streets feels like stepping onto the set of a post-apocalyptic film, where time has simply stopped. The wind whistles through broken window panes and across empty parade grounds, carrying with it the faint echoes of a history defined by tension and the constant threat of global annihilation. It is a place that feels both uniquely British and strangely foreign, a slice of Cold War America transplanted into the heart of England. RAF Upper Heyford's story begins long before the Cold War, but its true significance was forged in the decades following the Second World War. As the Iron Curtain descended across Europe, this quiet corner of Britain was transformed into a critical front line. The base became home to the United States Air Force in Europe, or USAF. Its strategic location made it an ideal staging post for NATO's nuclear deterrent. It was from here that American bombers would have launched, carrying a devastating payload, had the order ever been given. The base was a physical manifestation of the special relationship between the UK and the US, a partnership built on a shared fear of Soviet expansionism, and a commitment to mutual defense against a seemingly inevitable conflict. The base was designed not just as an airfield, but as a fortress. It was a sprawling, self-contained world built for one purpose: to withstand and respond to a nuclear strike. At its peak, it was a colossal operation, one of the largest American air bases in Europe. It possessed a 3-kilometer-long runway, capable of launching the formidable F-111 fighter bombers that were stationed there for over 2 decades. These were no ordinary aircraft. They were nuclear-capable, variable-sweep wing bombers designed to fly low and fast, penetrating deep into enemy territory. Their presence turned the surrounding villages and fields into a primary target, a fact that was not lost on the local population or the thousands of personnel who served behind its fences. Beneath the visible surface of runways and hangars lay another, more secret world. The base was riddled with hardened aircraft shelters, known as hush houses for their soundproofing, and heavily fortified command bunkers buried deep underground. These structures were built to survive anything short of a direct nuclear hit. Within these concrete tombs, operations could continue even as the world outside burned. Access was strictly controlled, with vast swathes of the base designated as secure areas, off-limits to all but a select few. It was here, in these windowless rooms and reinforced shelters, that the true terrifying business of the Cold War was managed day by day, a constant vigil against the unthinkable. For the thousands of American service personnel and their families who called Upper Heyford home, life was a curious blend of the mundane and the extraordinary. On one hand, it was a slice of suburban America dropped into the English countryside, complete with its own schools, bowling alley, cinema, and shops. It was a community where you could buy American goods and live a life that felt familiar, yet was thousands of miles from home. Children rode their bicycles down streets named after American states, while their parents navigated the strange customs of their British neighbors. This created a unique bubble, a garrison town that was part of Britain but also distinctly separate from it. Yet, beneath this veneer of normality, the shadow of the Cold War loomed large. Every person on the base, from the pilots and navigators to the mechanics and administrative staff, understood their role in the vast machinery of nuclear deterrence. The base was kept in a state of perpetual readiness. Drills were frequent and frighteningly realistic. The battle staff would regularly practice scrambling to the underground command post, simulating the moments after a nuclear alert had been sounded. Alarms could blare at any time, day or night, signaling a simulated attack and forcing everyone to respond as if it were real. This constant state of high alert created an undercurrent of tension that permeated every aspect of daily life. The primary mission of the 77th Tactical Fighter Squadron, and later the 20th Tactical Fighter Wing stationed at the base, was rapid response. The F-111 aircraft were kept on Quick Reaction Alert, or QRA, ready to be airborne within minutes of receiving an order. Pilots and their crews would often spend 24-hour shifts in dedicated facilities near their jets, unable to leave the immediate area. They slept in their flight suits, their lives on hold, waiting for a call that they hoped would never come. This immense pressure was a heavy burden to bear, knowing that their actions could be the first step in a chain of events, leading to unimaginable destruction. It required a unique kind of discipline and mental fortitude. The entire infrastructure of RAF Upper Heyford was engineered for speed and survival. The hardened aircraft shelters were designed so that jets could be started up, armed, and taxied out for takeoff without ever being exposed on an open runway until the last possible moment. Every system, from communications to fuel lines, had backups and redundancies. The base was a marvel of defensive engineering, a place built on the assumption that war was not just possible, but probable. For those who lived and worked there, this reality was inescapable. They were the tip of the spear, the guardians of a fragile peace, living each day on the brink of a potential apocalypse. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked the beginning of the end for RAF Upper Heyford. As the Soviet Union crumbled and the Cold War thawed, the strategic justification for such a massive and expensive military presence in Europe began to evaporate. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief, but for the community at Upper Heyford, it was the start of a profound and unsettling change. The fearsome F-111s, for so long the symbol of NATO's power, were gradually flown back to the United States. The departure of each aircraft was another nail in the coffin of the base's operational life, a slow and visible dismantling of its purpose. The process of closure was not swift. It was a gradual winding down that took several years. First, the nuclear mission was officially stood down. The special weapons storage areas, once the most secure and secret parts of the base, were emptied and sealed. The constant drills and high alert status that had defined life for decades simply stopped. A strange quiet descended as the roar of jet engines became less frequent. For the personnel who had spent their careers preparing for a war that never came, it was a surreal experience. The enemy had vanished, and with it, their mission. The base entered a state of limbo, its future uncertain. By 1994, the United States Air Force officially handed RAF Upper Heyford back to the British Ministry of Defense. The American flag was lowered for the last time, ending over 4 decades of continuous presence. The once bustling community of thousands dwindled to a skeleton crew of caretakers. Houses in the base's residential area fell silent, schools closed their doors, and the cinema played its last film. The site that had been a hive of activity, a 24-hour city dedicated to defense, became a ghost town almost overnight. The wire fences and gates that had once protected a vital military asset now simply enclosed a vast, empty space. The abandonment was methodical. Areas were sealed off, buildings were boarded up, and nature began its slow reclamation. Weeds pushed through cracks in the vast concrete expanses of the runway and taxiways. Paint began to peel from the signs that once directed a steady flow of military traffic. The hush houses and hardened shelters built to withstand a bomb blast stood silent and imposing, their heavy steel doors locked shut for what seemed like forever. The base, once a symbol of immense power and readiness, was now a monument to obsolescence, its formidable defenses rendered irrelevant by the changing tides of history. Today, a visit to RAF Upper Heyford is a profoundly moving experience. The site remains remarkably intact, a sprawling, open-air museum of the Cold War. Much of the base is now a conservation area, and parts of it have been repurposed for new housing and commercial use, creating a strange juxtaposition of old and new. Yet, the core of the Cold War base remains untouched. The technical area, with its rows of hardened aircraft shelters, command bunkers, and the colossal runway, is preserved. Walking or driving through this silent landscape feels like exploring a lost civilization, its purpose still visible in the monumental scale of its architecture. The site is a powerful physical reminder of how close Britain came to the nuclear front line. Unlike the abstract discussions of strategy and policy, Upper Heyford offers tangible evidence of the Cold War's reality. You can stand beside the enormous concrete shelters and touch the cold steel of their blast doors. You can peer into the dark, soundproof chambers of the hush houses where the F-111 engines were tested at full power. These structures were not built for comfort or aesthetics. They were pure, brutalist function, designed for the sole purpose of waging and surviving a nuclear war. Their continued existence forces us to confront the terrifying logic of that era. The atmosphere is heavy with the weight of history. The empty watchtowers stand as silent sentinels, and the faded American-style road markings guide you through a ghost town. In the former residential areas, you can still see the outlines of a community that was suddenly uprooted. It is impossible to walk these streets without thinking of the lives that were lived here, under the constant pressure of a global standoff. It serves as a testament to the generations of service personnel who stood ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, living out their days in this isolated corner of England, thousands of miles from their homes. Ultimately, RAF Upper Heyford is more than just an abandoned military base. It is a vital piece of our national heritage. It is a symbol of a time when the world held its breath, when two superpowers stood eyeball to eyeball, and when the Oxfordshire countryside was one of the most dangerous places on earth. As these concrete relics slowly weather and decay, they offer a stark and necessary lesson. They remind us of the fragility of peace and the terrifying consequences of a conflict that was narrowly averted. Preserving places like Upper Heyford is not about glorifying war, but about remembering the high price of preventing it.